Good morning. Today I come before you with a very heavy heart. Today I wish I didn't have to speak because I understand that by speaking, I run the risk of being accused of complaining. But I speak because I have a duty to the people of Northeastern St. Elizabeth who elected me to be their voice and to be their compass. My issues today are multiple, but I will give you the abridged version. And I'll start with the long-standing practice, which has really merged into a convention whereby ministers or officials of the government ought properly to notify a sitting member of parliament before entering that MP's constituency to do any government related issue. Now, that is not just a matter of parliamentary etiquette or constituency etiquette. It has its rationale in ensuring that as the duly elected representative of the people, you can be informed as to what is taking place in your constituency so that by extension you can inform the people, so that you can make yourself available when the government officials are present to continue to represent and advocate on behalf of your residents and your constituents on issues that concern them most, issues that you might not have an opportunity in the parliament to raise because of the rules of the parliament. In a time like this, a very sensitive time when the most vulnerable are most at risk, we expect that that practice would ensure that there is collaboration between the government officials and the elected representatives to ensure that persons can benefit. In my constituency, I have had to sit and watch as persons approach me the day before a visit to ask me if I heard that the Minister of Local Government is coming into the constituency. What is it that they're coming to do? Where can they meet them? And I have no answer to the questions because I was not notified in advance. In my constituency, first, the Speaker of the House came, and perhaps she came in her capacity as an individual outside of the politics, but by her utterances, she made statements to suggest that she had visited communities, and every community that she visited, residents were not hopeful that they would get any assistance from me as the Member of Parliament. And I thought it was very unfortunate that in a time like this, we would seek to sow seeds of division and discord. Because the Speaker of the House visited three communities, all strongholds of the Jamaica Labour Party. Not one PNP community was visited, not one PNP community was given any of the care packages. In fact, the areas visited are well known: Rocky Hill, Santa Cruz, Burn Savannah, which is regarded by Edward Seaga as Little Tivoli. No reference was made to any other communities, but the speaker formed the conclusion that every community she visited were not hopeful that they would get help to build back houses or do repairs. And I speak on that because she came into the community on Saturday morning, and by Saturday afternoon, the Minister of Local Government also visited the constituency. He distributed care packages, 60 to the sitting Jamaica Labour Party councillor, but I was not informed of his visit prior. The three other councillors who happened to be PNP councillors were also not informed of the Minister of Local Government's visit. And of course, they got no packages from the minister. Only the JLP council received packages. And finally, the Minister of Justice came on Friday, and my constituency office happened to be right next door to the venue that he visited. I was not notified in advance. Now, it doesn't matter. I see the statement from the minister, and labeling a statement as being contained or filled with lies or accusing me of lying does not make it untrue, and it does not change the facts. The facts remain, as I stated in my earlier video, that the minister came into the constituency without prior notice. The minister came into the constituency, handed out or distributed supplies. It doesn't matter if it was 7 or 77. The parliamentary practice, the convention still remains. It is improper to visit an MP's constituency without prior notice. That is a practice that has long been observed. And if it is that the government is now departing from that practice, then we need to know why. Because we're striving towards good governance. In England, they have codified that almost in a sense by having ministers' code, which set that out, that ministers of government must notify and not just give just passing notice on the day, but proper notice. Perhaps it is time for us to implement that here in Jamaica. Secondly, I speak on the issue of housing because the speaker made mention that persons that she spoke within the communities, the JLP communities that she visited, were not hopeful that they would get assistance. Like many of these members of parliament, I also received only $10 million as an allocation for housing repair. On the very first day that my constituency office reopened after the hurricane, we had over 600 persons in attendance at the office asking for housing assistance. Over 600. And when I went into communities like Mosquito Bottom in Windsor, they didn't even know that there was a deadline given by the government to report on matters such as those. So their information was never captured. I raise it to say to you that the government, you've heard, has given a directive that they are recommending that you give 100,000 to each beneficiary. I have not been able to do so. I have taken the decision that I cannot choose who should benefit and who should not. I cannot choose who should get help to put on back their roofs and who should not when everybody needs help to put on back their roofs. And so every one of those 600 and odd persons who applied for housing assistance, I've submitted their names. And so it means that they're not going to get 100,000 each. It means that some of them going to get $12,000, which is only probably 3 sheets of zinc. But what do we do when the funding is not sufficient? And let me make it clear. I have PNP people who voted for me. I have JLP people who voted for me. I may have people who never support the politics before and them go vote. So I don't care who people vote for. When I go into a community to distribute supplies or to assist people, I have never asked them who they voted for. Once I have it, I'm going to share it, even though it means sometimes getting quarrels from your own supporters who feel as though you're helping the other side more than how you're helping them. And I say this to say that we do not support the practice of division. We do not support the practice of undermining duly elected representatives whose only intent is to provide help for people who are suffering. We see people who are in need. We don't see JLP and we don't see PNP. We see people who are vulnerable and who are depending on the government to make the right decisions so that their lives can be better. And that's the only objective that we have over here on the People's National Party side. Now, finally, I speak to the issue of infrastructure. The constituency that I represent suffered not just physical loss to the houses or roadwork was completely destroyed in areas, particularly in Santa Cruz, where it seems as if a bomb was dropped overnight. We have holes in the roadways which were over 20 feet deep. Now, I've tried my best to assist, but these are all temporary gaps, temporary stop gaps, by using the debris that had been washed away to try and fill back the holes so that people can't say that they are marooned. But what is the plan going forward? Because one more show of rain and all of that wash away, and people again going to be marooned. The people in Abraham, who even though we tried to fix the road and did the best that we could, they tell me that when rain fall, they still have to walk to get home up in the hills because the cars still can't manage because it's mud and dirt that was used. So it has slipped away and is slipping away. What is the plan? Are we going to wait until something disastrous happens before we put in place plans and solutions that will actually inure to the benefit of people? In Santa Cruz, we have a situation where all of the mud, all of the debris from the hills washed down into the town of Santa Cruz. So it is not uncommon for you to see people wearing dust masks when you visit Santa Cruz. What is the plan? The government has started to clear the roadway in Santa Cruz without any notification to me as the member of parliament. And now we are left with a situation where I don't know if there is funding that is left, but the road needs a water truck to actually wash away all of that mud, all of that debris. What is the plan for Santa Cruz? What is the plan for the areas in Thornton? Thornton has over 1,500, almost 2,000 persons, and 95% of Thornton lost roofs. Some houses have completely crumbled. What is the plan? Because my $10 million done, and I still don't know how we're going to help the rest of the residents in Windsor and the other areas, even in Brace River, that got flooded out and who go around and pick up 2 sheets of zinc and nail it on or tack it back on. But them know so the next shower of rain, them a go wet up again and another strong gust of wind, it a go blow off again. What is the plan? I close by saying that I have absolutely no intention to be cantankerous, and if I appear to be somewhat passionate, forgive me. But when you represent people who see you as their only hope, who come to you because they have nobody else to turn to, we have a duty to speak on their behalf, and we have a duty to hope that the government listens and the government acts. Thank you.